Welcome back to our channel, everyone. Today is a beautiful sunny day to dive deep into the dark, tangled web of Fairmont Crest. Grab a cup of coffee, settle into your favorite chair, and let us unpack the absolute psychological nightmare that is currently unfolding before our eyes. I have a feeling that something massive is being hidden right under our noses, and it revolves around a terrifying chapter that we all desperately hoped was closed forever. Imagine thinking you are finally safe, breathing a sigh of relief, only to realize the monster from your past never actually left your shadow. But what if I told you that the silence on the other end of the phone isn't just a prank, but a calculated countdown? If you ask me, the recent events surrounding Chelsea have been nothing short of heartbreaking to witness. We have seen her completely unravel, waking up screaming from night terrors and being paralyzed by terrifying silent phone calls right on the 1 year anniversary of her kidnapping. Kat and Jacob have done their absolute best to reassure her, checking with the authorities and promising that the person responsible is locked away in a high security facility. But I feel that this might just be a dangerous false sense of security. I think that deep rooted trauma does not just magically vanish because someone is behind bars, especially when that someone possesses a mind as twisted as Allison. To really understand my theory on where this is going, we need to take a long, hard look back at how this deeply toxic dynamic started. In my opinion, Allison always harbored intense feelings for Chelsea, but it was never a healthy, nurturing kind of love. I feel that her affection rapidly mutated into a dark, suffocating obsession that consumed her entirely. It is truly chilling to think about how someone can take a genuine human connection and twist it into a possessive, aggressive need to control another person's every breathing moment. I could be wrong, but it seems to me that Allison never once looked at Chelsea and saw an independent human being with her own agency. She saw a prize, a beautiful possession that belonged exclusively to her, regardless of what Chelsea actually wanted or felt. This brings us to the absolute most manipulative part of her past strategy, which still makes my skin crawl. I think we all vividly remember the era when Allison hired Craig to strategically infiltrate Chelsea's life. That entire scheme was a masterclass in psychological manipulation and emotional abuse. I feel that faking physical abuse, manufacturing fake bruises, and playing the helpless victim just to gain Chelsea's sympathy was one of the most calculated, evil moves we have ever seen on this show. She actively weaponized Chelsea's natural empathy against her. Every single time Chelsea tried to build a normal life, especially when she fell deeply in love with Madison, Allison would find a sinister way to insert herself back into the picture using Craig as a disposable pawn. In my opinion, this historical behavior proves that Allison is capable of incredibly complex, long-term deception, which is exactly why I do not trust a single report about her current status in that mental health facility. When Chelsea finally gathered the immense courage to try and cut ties, the situation escalated into pure, unadulterated horror. I feel that Allison's absolute refusal to accept the rejection is what triggered the catastrophic kidnapping. Taking Chelsea to that isolated, freezing remote cabin and forcing her into a twisted, imaginary wedding ceremony was a clear sign of a complete, terrifying break from reality. I think that in Allison's fractured mind, she was not committing a violent crime. She genuinely believed she was fulfilling a grand romantic destiny, completely and utterly ignoring the sheer paralyzing terror she was inflicting on the woman she claimed to love. Chelsea was eventually rescued from that nightmare, but if you ask me, the psychological scars from being held hostage inside someone else's delusion are the kind of wounds that never ever truly heal. So, here is my first personal theory about what is happening right now behind the locked doors of that facility. We are told Allison is isolated from the outside world, receiving treatment, but I think she is far, far from rehabilitated. I have this overwhelming feeling that she is sitting alone in her sterile room right this very second, obsessively writing letters to Chelsea. I imagine her carefully folding these letters and placing them into a hidden box alongside stolen mementos and trinkets from their distorted past. In my opinion, she is actively building a secret shrine to a relationship that only ever existed in her own sick imagination. I could be wrong, but I heavily suspect this hidden box is her only anchor, the dark obsession keeping her tethered to the outside world while she bides her time. But what exactly is she writing in those desperate letters? And more importantly, how is she planning to get them into Chelsea's hands? If I had to guess what those letters contain, I feel it would be a deeply unsettling, completely fabricated revision of their history. I think Allison is writing extensively about their past intimate moments, perhaps even detailing their sexual encounters, framing them as undeniable cosmic proof of their eternal love. She likely writes about those times as if they were beautiful, pure, and entirely consensual, completely erasing the heavy manipulation, guilt tripping, and emotional coercion that actually tainted every single interaction. In my opinion, she genuinely believes that reminding Chelsea of these physical memories will somehow reignite a magical spark between them. She is romanticizing a nightmare, painting a horror story with the colors of a fairy tale. This creates a sickening, heartbreaking contrast that I just cannot stop thinking about. For Allison, these memories are a beautiful romantic fantasy, a comforting, warm blanket she wraps herself in during her confinement. But for Chelsea, those exact same memories are a source of agonizing, suffocating pain. I feel that Chelsea looks back on any intimacy with Allison as a severe violation, a dark period when she was blindly manipulated and emotionally trapped by a predator. I think that if Chelsea were to ever actually read those letters, it would not spark a single ounce of love. It would trigger a massive, catastrophic psychological spiral. The terrifying fact that Allison cannot see this glaring disparity shows just how deeply entrenched she remains in her dangerous delusion. This leads me to my second theory, one that directly ties into the terrifying silent phone calls Chelsea has been receiving lately. I think that Allison might have already found a covert way to reach out from within the facility. Jacob checked the logs and assured everyone she was in strict lockdown, but let us be real. These facilities always have massive blind spots. I feel that Allison might have successfully smuggled a burner phone into her room, or perhaps she is trading illicit favors with a corrupt staff member to make those calls. In my opinion, the timing is just way too perfect to be a coincidence. The exact anniversary of the kidnapping, the sudden breathing hangups, it all points directly back to Allison trying to assert her sick dominance and silently remind Chelsea that she is still there, lurking in the shadows, waiting for her moment. The stakes are getting incredibly high, and my emotional reaction to this storyline is just pure, unadulterated anxiety for Chelsea's safety. We are actively seeing her project her massive panic onto everyone around her, lashing out because she feels hunted. Madison is doing her absolute best as a partner and a doctor to ground her, holding her through the night terrors, and Kat is trying to be the fiercely supportive best friend, but I feel that Chelsea is slowly, inevitably unraveling. I think that living with the constant gnawing fear that your abuser is coming back to finish the job is a psychological torture all its own. If you ask me, The warfare Allison is waging right now, whether directly through a smuggled phone or indirectly through the sheer suffocating weight of the anniversary, is working absolutely perfectly to break Chelsea down. Now, here is my bold, highly controversial opinion, and please remember this is entirely my own speculation. I think Allison is not working alone in this. I feel that her manipulation skills are so incredibly sharp and lethal that she might have successfully groomed an accomplice on the inside. What if she has manipulated a vulnerable nurse or even another patient being released to do her dirty work? What if the letters she is writing aren't just sitting in a box gathering dust? What if she is secretly handing them off to this accomplice who is preparing to hand deliver them to Chelsea's front door? I could be wrong, but I strongly suspect that someone else is making those silent phone calls on Allison's behalf, acting as her loyal proxy to torment Chelsea, while Allison remains safely locked away with a perfect, untouchable alibi. Think about the horrifying implications of that theory for a moment. If Allison truly has a proxy operating on the outside, it means Chelsea is in immediate physical danger right now, even if Allison never actually leaves her locked cell. I feel that Madison, Kat, and even Jacob are vastly underestimating the vast reach of an obsessed psychopathic mind. They are relying on the physical iron bars of a mental health facility to keep Chelsea safe, but I think the real threat is entirely psychological and boundless. I believe that Allison's ultimate sinister goal is to break Chelsea down so completely, to make her seem so paranoid and erratic that she eventually isolates herself from Madison and everyone else who loves her, leaving her completely vulnerable for the final strike. Furthermore, let us consider the specific mementos hidden in that box she is keeping. I think those items are not just innocent keepsakes, they are a detailed roadmap of her twisted obsession. Perhaps she kept a piece of torn clothing, a faded receipt from a place they went together during the manipulation phase, or even something horrifying from the fake wedding at the cabin. I feel that Allison looks at these items every single day and rewrites the narrative in her head, practicing her lines. In my opinion, she is rehearsing exactly what she will say to Chelsea when they are finally inevitably reunited. It is a deeply chilling thought. I think she is using her time in the facility not to heal, not to reflect, but to meticulously strategize her next move. The letters are just the first pawn moving on a much larger, darker chessboard designed to pull Chelsea back into her inescapable web. The tension is absolutely palpable, and I honestly fear for Chelsea's mental well-being and physical safety as this dark mystery continues to unfold. The past is never truly dead in Fairmont Crest. It just waits in the dark, writing letters and biding its time. That is just how I see it. I could be wrong. What do you think?